terrible.
Welcome back to For Time with Myriad. I'm Anna, and I'm here today with
Marta.
Yes, and we're going to talk a little bit about goals today. I'm here with my green tea, sponsored by Poke Guru. It's pretty delicious.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. And
Is there a flavor in there?
it's a green tea,
Like straight green
just
tea.
like straight green tea, and has a little caffeine. So I'm excited to be hyped for this episode. Goals.
Yes.
Specifically, we'll talk a little bit about New Year's resolutions, how we feel about it, and kind of like our approach. So, Marta, how do you feel about New Year's resolutions?
They've never been my favorite thing.
Okay.
The whole idea around New Year's in general is kind of like a weird thing for me. It always feels like lots and lots of hype around this big fresh start and like setting this resolution and changing the way the next year is going to be. And that is cool. But also it feels really big and a little bit intimidating to me personally.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I totally feel that. I think a lot of times it's intimidating to try to think of like in January how you're going to be for the entire year, because so much can change, how a year starts and what happens in the middle. We can't always predict what's going to happen, and it's probably not going to go to plan. So sometimes it feels really intimidating to try to set really lofty, big things for like an entire year in that first month.
Yeah, and I find for myself, it often sets me up for like a letdown at some point when I'm like, oh, I didn't commit to that thing.
Yeah.
Or a year is such a long time that honestly, it's like June and it's beautiful outside and I've forgotten about whatever that
Like, wait, what did I
resolution
even
was.
say I was going to do? I feel that. I will say, though, I am probably someone who like gets a little bit, I don't know, like a year is just a natural demarcation line. So I do think, if you're someone who the New Year's resolution really works for you, or I'm a big fan of like using whatever momentum, motivation works for you and what you need. So I do get that side of things. Like,
Totally.
use natural things to help you out if you need that motivation.
Right. And it's not that like having goals at the beginning of the new year is a bad thing, but it's like, how do you make them feel manageable and achievable and something that you eventually can celebrate?
Yes.
And not just like a burden.
Fair. Yeah. Totally. I love that. So what is your advice for someone going into the new year on how to do that in a way that is manageable and feels more concrete than a New Year's resolution where you don't have that letdown moment?
Totally.
Or forgetting moment.
Great question. We do goal reviews with our members. We try to. So I get to hear a lot about what people's goals are, and a common theme that happens is that goals or resolutions, I think especially with the word resolution, can be huge.
Yeah.
And kind of like this vague, mysterious cloud of like a perfect idea of what you want to be able to achieve. For example, like someone's goal might just be, I want to be stronger. Great. That's a really like awesome thing to achieve or to work towards. However, that's so vague that it might almost feel like you don't know where to begin.
Yeah.
So being able to dissolve and dilute your goal down into something that's a tiny chunk. You knew I was going to say it?
Yes.
Tiny chunk.
Tiny
kind of gross. Something
But important.
Small. Yeah, so a nice little, like a little crumb of an idea that you can build towards that bigger goal. So if your goal is, I want to get stronger, you might think specifically, I want to have more stable shoulders, or maybe I want to be able to do a pull-up if I've never done one pull-up before, because you're going to get stronger on the way there.
Yeah.
And that's giving you one thing to get to.
Yes. We talk a lot about SMART goals with our members, I feel like, in those goal reviews or just generally with the world of goals, and that's specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time sensitive. So getting stronger is an awesome start to a goal, but I think some of what you're mentioning is like making it a little bit more specific, making it something that we can measure. And I feel like mixed on some of those things. I think sometimes if we say my goal is very specifically to back squat 200 pounds, if you back squat 195 pounds, sometimes it can feel like, well, I failed my goal. But if we get too caught up in the measurables, when, if I went from squatting 160 to 195, that's a huge achievement. And I've definitely hit the mark of getting stronger, even if I didn't hit 200 pounds, the number.
I think that's a really good point. And I think marking the small wins along the way is really, really, really important.
Yeah.
It's a very yoga thing, but I like to say a lot that it's about the journey and not the end goal. So maybe you didn't hit 200 pounds in your squat, but you have progressed a ton, which is absolutely worth celebrating, and it means you're well on your way to getting that 200 pounds.
Yeah.
I've been reminded about that before with injuries. Like, even the smallest things are progress towards your goal, and they're worth celebrating.
Totally. I love that. Are we doing anything to help people towards this concept?
Oh my God, I'm so glad you asked.
What a setup.
In 2024, this January, we are going to have the January Commitment Club. So it's a really no pressure club that you can join for free. You will notice when you come into the lobby, we've got this really cute bulletin board up, notating the January Commitment Club. And you can grab a little Myriad star, pick your favorite color, and you'll just write down one thing that you want to commit to for 31 days in January. And it doesn't have to be big. Again, think about small things. So it's 31 days. So maybe your goal isn't, I want to get stronger in 31 days. Maybe your goal is, I want to go to bed at a reasonable time every night. If you're like me and you like to stay up really late, maybe you're like, I will be in my bed by 10 p.m., which is reasonable for me.
Yeah, I love that. And what you just mentioned kind of answers a question I was going to ask. Does it have to be about fitness? Getting stronger is something we do a lot in the gym. That might look like I'm doing the pull-up program 3 times a week, but it doesn't have to be directly related to what you're doing in the gym. It could be something totally outside of it that supports you in some way. Maybe directly, maybe not very directly, in your health and fitness.
Yeah, totally. Anything that's going to help you progress towards more general happiness and well-being throughout those 31 days. Plus those things compound and they all add up, right? If I'm eating in ways that make me feel better, I'm probably going to perform better in the gym. If I'm taking time to give gratitude for the people I'm around a lot more, I'm probably going to feel happier, and I might feel more like I want to come to the gym and work out. So all of those things add up together. So really expanding what your commitment looks like. It does not have to be a goal related specifically to working out, but all of that will interweave together.
Yeah. What I love about this is it is so customizable to what you want to work on, and what that looks like is very different for everyone. But having the bulletin board, having the stars, having people's names up there and what you're committing to, there's that layer of accountability of, I can check in on someone. Even if you're doing a very different goal from me, we can still check in and support each other on that. Because I think that's a huge part of why people come to the gym and have that accountability, that group environment to help us move forward.
Yeah, and to have people to help celebrate you, too, which I think is huge.
Gosh, I feel like we talk about that all the time. Remember to celebrate.
Well, it's really hard to celebrate yourself sometimes. I think you get achievements and you don't necessarily want to call them out, but if you've got other people who know about it, it's really nice when someone's like, I noticed you did that thing. It feels really good. So
I love being a cheerleader, hype girl for people. It's one of my faves.
So my question is, if you're in the commitment club, is there anything else happening with that besides pinning your star to the board? What else is involved in the commitment club?
So we will help you along the way. We're going to be sending out a few emails, really just communicating some methods to help and support you in achieving your commitments. Because for some people, if you're not used to doing this style of goal setting, it might be intimidating figuring out where to start. So giving you some tips and tricks for how to take your commitment and make it a reality. So we're just going to be supporting you along the way in that process, and just have check-ins along the way. You'll have the ability to ask us questions, so that you're set up for success and have some support as you try to achieve your commitments. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to sign up.
Me too.
Also, you and I always go overtime.
Hey, I think we all do. It's more of a, like, this is your wrap-up time.
We're gonna, I don't know if we're going to take this long, but we're going to show what that commitment board looks like here.
She's cute.
Ooh.
There's
The stars.
down there. Stars are in there. So open up. Oh, it's actually working a little bit.